Okay. Yeah, so I love that's why I really love this. So for each transgression and sin, its appropriate punishment for the purpose of cleansing and removing the stain and the blemish caused by that specific sin. Similarly, the blemish caused by the sins carrying the penalty of death at the hands of heaven or charis varies from one sin to another. To return to our original point, after the sinful act, in the case of those sins which do not carry the punishment of charis or death at the hands of heaven, the sinner's animal soul, which animates the body and is clothed in it, as well as his body itself, return and rise from the sitra achra and klipa, whereto they descended when the sin was committed, and they draw closer to the holiness of the divine soul that pervades them. The divine soul. Oh, I love this, actually. I love this so much. So one of the things that we talked about in, I don't know, one of the classes recently was what does it mean, kares? Like, what does it mean when the rope is cut off? In the times of the Beis Mikdash, it meant that a person's life was cut short because their connection and the rope is actually connected to the nefesh elokis, the godly soul, the inner spark of godliness within us. And it was connected to Yud Kei Vav Kei, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In the times of the Beis Hamikdash, it was Yud Kei Vav Kei was something here present. And so when a person would cut themselves off with kairos, they would shorten their life because the connection that they had with their source and life giver, Yud Kei Vav Kei, Hashem, was cut off, and so the neshama had to live off of whatever battery was already in it, whatever life was already in it. But because it's not connected, still it couldn't continue receiving sustenance. The nefesh elokis, and so eventually it would just die out. And that's why a person, and when the nefesh elokis is gone from the body, then the whole system, the whole person has lost his life. And that's what would happen. That's what kares would do. So again, that's a consequence of the person's actions. So that's why the life would be shorter. In today's, as we learned in today's day and age, we're in the galus, and Yud Kei Vav Kei is not living here in this, in his dwelling place in the Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash is gone. We're in galus. So now when we do something that's causes kares, what we actually do is we schlep the last hey of Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, and we schlep it deeper into galus with us, into klipa and sitra achra with us, and then we enter that realm of klipa, where sometimes it can actually give us a real big burst of life, because again, only a small amount of klipa, only a small amount of kedusha is needed to feed a whole lot of klipa. So if you're getting your strength from klipa, it can, especially a Jew, especially something so holy, someone so holy, that there can be a lot of power coming from here. And that's why, again, also where there's lots of emotional disturbances and difficulties like depression, sadness, etc., like when it's so strong and prevalent, it's really it's a look into how holy this person is. This person is so holy that the klipot are really present here, and you can really, we should really pray for these people, especially if we interact with someone, their interactions can be very, not clean and not lovely, but we can pray for them, even if we've been burned by them, we can pray for them and say, Hashem, they're so holy, please help them, like redeem them, every prayer is powerful. So what and that's why teshuv hey, like when we do teshuva, we're trying to get out of the sitra achra and the klipa, we're trying to return we're trying to return the last hay of Hashem's name back to Hashem. We're trying to repair our relationship with Hashem. And so I love this, that it says that the sinner's animal soul, which animates the body and is clothed in it, as well as his body itself, return and rise from the Sitra Achra and Klippa. So that we were in the Sitra Achra and Klippa, in the world of Klippa, and now we're rising and returning through Tshuva, the last day of Hashem's name, back to Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yeah, because once we do a sin, then we have descended into the Klippa. So by returning, we return back to the higher realms. And we draw closer to the holiness of the divine soul, which pervades within us. So the divine soul always believes in the one Hashem, the one God, and it remains faithful to him even while the sin is being committed. For it is only the animal soul via the body that performs the sinful act. But at that time, the divine soul was in a state of veritable exile in the animal soul, which derives from the Sitra Achra, which causes the body to sin and drags it down with itself to the lowest depths, so low, in fact, that it is even lower than the impurity of the Sitra Achra and the Klippa of idolatry. Hashem preserve us. Wow. Hashem Yishmarenu. Wow, I love that. It's so amazing. And this is why, this is another big thing that really helped me as well in my journey. So knowing that we always have this hidden love of Hashem, knowing that we always have this pure and clean part of us, our nefesh elokis, that's forever bittul to Hashem. Nothing we do, think, or say will make our neshama not bittul to Hashem. So anytime that our mental or emotional urges come up and we act on in reactions, all of this is just an expression of the animal soul. It's not the expression of the godly soul. And so no matter how far down, how deep down we've dived into the world of Klippa, into emotional reactions and intensity, into thought, speech, and actions, no matter what we've done, thought, or said, we can always come back to Hashem because there's a part of us that was never that didn't take part, so to speak, that it thought differently and it felt differently at the time that we were doing all these things, right? There is a part of us that's completely pure. And when we try to connect with that part of us more and more, then we can start to see and have this deep connection with Hashem. We can feel this connection with Hashem. We can this connection with Hashem can actually help us to refine ourselves and to not do all the things that we would have done or have done in the past. Because when we know that there are two existences in ourselves at any moment, there's one existence that's drawing and craving for whatever desire, whatever ratzon it wants, whatever it wants to do, we can know that there's another part of us that's not feeling that at all, and it wants Hashem. And so that was really helpful for me to be able to know that I can either identify with the one or with the other. They're both part of my existence, but sometimes when you do something so bad all the time, again and again and again, you say, I'm going to change, and then it doesn't, and etc., you can feel so low about yourself, and then you can judge yourself by that and say that you're so not good, and look at all these thoughts that come up, and look at all this speech that comes up, and look at all these actions that come up, and you judge yourself by that. So if you understand that actually you have something so pure in you, no matter what, then you can start to identify with that more and more, and then feel compassion on the part of you that is so prone to falling all the time, and that compassion, having that compassion instead of judgment, having this, gaining the confidence in your godly soul, the pureness within you, that's where you can pray from. And then you can really take pity on the animal soul. And then it becomes clearer and clearer that, judgment's not here. It becomes clearer and clearer that the animal soul is you know, is struggling itself, and it's trying to do the right thing, right? But it's not doing the right thing. And what does it mean by trying to do the right thing? Miriam talks about the animal soul as being in survival instinct, right? An animal has the instinct to survive. That's one of the basic necessities. When it knows that its, you know, its safety is secure, then it will have the instinct to, oh, I forgot this teaching, but something like it will have the instinct to enjoy or something. I forgot what it was. Yeah, something like that it wants. It will go after what it wants, what it desires. So that could be food, that could be riches, that could be, you know, people, it could be whatever it is. But if you wave it in the face and say, this is where, you know, like hanging a meat in front of the animal, you say, like, if you want this meat, you want these desires that you have, you want that, well, know where it comes from. It comes from Hashem. So let's work on this together. We can get there, you know. So you can be on the same team as the animal soul, but it only comes through compassion on the animal soul, and defining, I really find defining yourself and identifying with the godly soul. And the more and more, you must know, even when you don't feel it, it's still there. You don't have to feel it to know that it exists. That's part of why it's hidden. It's a hidden love for Hashem. So you can go into your davening and you can say, I know that there is a hidden love of Hashem within me. May that hidden love be, you know, come into more revealed state. May the davening bring it out more. And it's so powerful. Really, it's so powerful. Just like we can unveil eventually the hidden love of Hashem within us, so can we unveil the purity and etc., etc. Everything that is the divine soul, it can be revealed in this world, and that's what we want, with compassion for the animal soul and its experience. And even more so, it's even more so powerful when we have compassion on Hashem, the Shechina and its experience, because the Shechina goes into exile with everything that the animal soul does, with every sin that it goes down into. Klippa, it brings in the Shechina down with it, because the Shechina is like our mother, and she didn't want to leave us, and she, you know, was determined to stay with her children when Hashem returned and left this realm, because the Beis Hamikdash wasn't here anymore. So he left in certain ways. The Shechina wanted to stay, to be with her children, her beloved children. So when we have compassion on our mother, on the Shechina, just like we have compassion on our animal soul, you know, there are forces outside of it that can cause it to do things, because it is a nature, no, its nature is klippa, so it's more drawn towards the mundane, or even, you know, any klippa. So if we understand that nature and we have compassion on it, and even more so we have compassion on the Shechina and her experience of coming down into the pain and the pits of whatever with us, then Hashem can take more mercy on us. We can take more mercy on Hashem. It's something so powerful, something so beautiful, and we have more power, more strength to be refined. Then I think we'll leave it there. Okay. So with that, let us have our little meditation. So now I encourage you to take a deep breath, get into a comfortable position, let out the breath, really focus on exhaling, and just allow yourself to get all of this calmness, serenity, to let go of all of the tension and accumulation of tension in the mind, in the body, tension in the heart, tension in the soul, whatever tensions there are. Just really allow it to invite it, encourage it to wash away. And breathing in, filling up with kedusha, filling up with holiness, filling up with thoughts of humility before Hashem, positive thoughts, joy. Really, we should be serving Hashem b'simcha. So really inviting this joy and this ease. You imagine yourself doing it, mitzvot, connecting more of your rope to Hashem, the rope of your godly soul to Hashem, Yukevavke. You can imagine a fixing of whatever strands have been broken in the past as you floss your soul and do tshuva. And recognize within you the godly soul, which is always nullified before Hashem. And then recognize the animal soul, which is not nullified before Hashem, at least not yet. And you can see the desires and the wants and the thoughts that have come from this animal soul in the past, in the recent past. Whether it was 2 days ago, this week, last week, today. And you can comfort it. You can hold it like a little child that needs to be supported without judgment, and yet put in its place, taught how to deal with the world. And you can imagine having this compassion on the Shekhinah, who has gone in and with every reaction has gone lower and lower, not enjoying the klippah, wishing she was not in the klippah, but wishing even more for our animal soul, that it would come back. And so calling out to Hashem from this place, calling out to Hashem, Hashem, please, my animal soul is struggling, the Shekhinah is struggling. Have compassion, have mercy on us, and help us to come back. We cannot do it alone. And this godly soul, really no judgment, only love. Love for Hashem, bittul to Hashem and to His will. Understanding the purpose of the godly soul, the animal soul going down into the klippah is only for it to come higher. And so without judgments, the godly soul, you can imagine sort of maybe giving a hug to this childish animal soul. And to say, to help it through. And see as your actions are refined, that you're doing mitzvot, no matter how hard it is, you're acting in a refined way, and you're doing the will of Hashem. And with each will of Hashem, and each refraining from an outburst, each time you're bringing your soul higher and higher, your animal soul higher and higher. There's smiling, and the godly soul and the animal soul are able to be there together. And you can see that this animalistic soul really can be polished away, getting rid of all of the caked on coarseness to reveal a true diamond in the rough. and the Shekhinah can be back up out of the klipa, out of the unholiness, the impurity. And so with each act that we do, and each thought, speech, and action, everything that we do to do Hashem's will strengthens our godly soul more and more, and helps us to come back. So may the thoughts that we have had here, learning Torah, the holy thoughts, the holy Torah, may it all be set into the grooves of our mind and our heart, that we can get there easier and easier to a more refined state for the purpose of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, fulfilling His will, b'simcha, with happiness and joy. And that less and less we will fall to the klipa. And with that, we'll finish. So please join us next week for continuing chapter 24. Thanks for joining us.